In this lecture, we are going to create a view model associated with the two properties of our login form. It's going to have a property of username and a property of password. And then we're going to render our view component that's going to hold the view model types inside of that form. So let's go ahead and start building this. The first two things I want to do is I want to come to my course project app and I want to add new folder, and I'm going to name it view models. And then I want to come in here and I want to create a folder to associate the view components. So let's go add new folder. In the view models folder, I want to come in here and I want to put add new class. And the class is going to be called login view model. So once I add that, this is going to be the class associated with the different properties for my login view model. So I'm going to come in here and just going to create two properties. So I'm going to say prop tab tab. And then inside of this property here, I'm going to put it as a string. And I'm going to name this username. And then I want to put some data annotations to associate with this. So I'm going to make this required. So let's put that there. And then we're going to import the system component model.data annotations. And then we're going to come in here and we're going to put the data type associated with this. So the HTML that renders will associate a data type of text. And then we're going to go over here, put text. So now that we have that there, let's come down here and let's do prop tab tab. And let's make this a string as well. And this is going to be a password. Let's make it required. Let's just copy this for convention. Let's put that right there. And let's make this a password. So right there, we have the two different properties that are going to associate with our form login. We have a username and password. It's pretty much a standard way to implement a login form. So now that we have that, let's go over here to our view import and let's associate this file so we don't have to utilize the whole path every time we import it. So let's put using, and then we can put course project app dot view models. So now we can just incorporate and use inside of our different views the shortened version to associate the specific model type in that view. Now that we have our course app project view model, let's go ahead and let's create a view component. So let's come in here and let's click add new item. And let's put a class and let's name this class login view component. Let's add that. Now that we have our login view component, remember that it inherits from view component. So once you put that, you're going to have to incorporate that library to associate. So we're going to utilize Microsoft.ASP.NET Core.MVC. So once we have that set inside of our view component here, let's just create one specific method here. Let's say public async. Let's make this a task. And then we're going to put I view component result. And let's put invoke async. And then here we can just put return view. Now we're not implementing any logic inside of this, so you're going to get a little complaint right here. Just leave it temporarily because we're not actually returning any results. We just want this to be a specific container for ourselves. So now that we have the login view component created, what we want to do here is go to our shared folder, and then we want to create inside of our shared folder a components folder to associate our view components. So let's come in here and let's click add new folder, and let's name this folder components. Now that we have the components folder, we're going to create another folder named login to associate the naming convention of our login view component. So we have login view component, but before the view component, we need to make sure that these names match between login and login here in our view component folder. And then we're going to click add new item, and we're going to create a view. And by default, we're just going to name it default.cshtml. It's a naming convention for Vue components. Now we're going to create our little form to associate inside of our index page. So this is going to be the main login page to associate right here. So let's go ahead and let's remove some of these items at top. And then what I want to do is I want to put @model, and I'm going to put login so that it associates the login view model inside of this. So once I've incorporated the login view model right there, let's go ahead and create our form. So let's put div. And inside of that div, we're going to put some semantic UI labeling. So let's put class, and let's put UI raised, very padded, text container. And we're going to give this a little bit of a style margin. And let's say margin right 5%. Now we want to come up here to the top, and we want to make just a header to associate with this. So let's put a h3. Let's put a class, and we're going to say UI header. Like I stated before, if you don't know semantic UI, that's okay. This is just to give some layout so we don't have to deal with a lot of the UI. And let's put app login form. And now we're going to create our specific form value here. So we're going to go form, and we're going to put ASP controller. And this is going to be the controller naming convention that we're going to have. So what we can do typically is on our main controller, we're going to have a method to authenticate. Let's put the specific controller, which is main, and then we're going to put ASP action, which we're going to create an action here, going to be called authenticate. And the method is going to be a post. And then we're going to put a little class right here. It's going to be UI large form validate. Then once we have that, let's put role equals form. And let's close that. So right there we have our controller that's going to be associated with our main controller. And then it's going to have a method on there that we'll create in a subsequent lecture associated with authenticate. So now let's come in here. Let's put div. Let's put class UI stack segment so that it will look good and responsive. It will stack elements. And then right here, let's put div. And this is going to be a field. And then inside of that, put another div. And we're going to put this class UI left to float it, icon input. And then we're going to put from there an actual icon to associate with the login. So let's put I for italic, class, and then let's put user icon. Just giving a little UI formatting here. And then we're going to come to our input field here. So let's come in here and let's put input. And then we're going to put ASP4, which is going to be associated with username. And you can see the IntelliSense to associate with my login view model. And we're going to put placeholder. So what you can do, you come down here and you can put some validation logic associated with it. So we could put div ASP validation. And then you can put the specific item it's for, which is username in this case. Then we can come down here and let's just copy this again to associate our element here. And then we'll copy another field here. And then what we'll do right there is we'll just change a few items here, which is going to be password. And then instead, we're going to have, instead of the user icon, we're going to have a lock icon. And this is going to be password. And ASP validation for password. And then once we have that, let's create another element right here. that's going to be associated with our button. So let's come over here, another div. Let's put a button type. Then we're going to come in here and put class UI, say blue button. And then on this, we're going to put iTaf for this. So put a little lock icon, and let's just put login as the text. And right there, you can see everything associated with that. And then what we can also do at the end of this form, right at the bottom before the form tag ends here, we can put a validation summary to associate with this. So now let's come in here and let's put div ASP validation summary. Let's put all. And then let's put a class UI error message. Now it takes a little bit of work to build the UI to associate inside of this. Let's Control F just to give it a little formatting. So now that we have all of that set up, and we'll build some of the authentication just as a test in the next lecture, is we got to actually invoke this component in our main index.cs HTML page. So we come down here to our main component, and we sit here and we put await component dot invoke async, and then we just put the name of our component. In this case, remember our component is login because it's login view component. So we'll put login right here. Now let's rebuild this and let's view this in browser, make sure it works. And look at that. We have a little login form to associate in our application. Username and password associated right here. And then as you can see, we have this set up inside of our application to associate our login form. The nice thing about Semantic UI is it gives you a nice UI design by default without having to build much code to associate in your application. This is why I decided to use Semantic UI and not Bootstrap in this application. I believe Semantic UI has better design habits than Bootstrap does out of the box. So this is our app login form. In the next lecture, we'll associate a baseline authentication to redirect. It won't be much. In the subsequent lectures, when we build our Entity Framework core context, we'll start delving into authentication properties and different items to associate with that.